So, let's talk about change. It's pretty much the only thing in life that's guaranteed, right? But man, can it be stressful. Today, we're going to crack open an ancient playbook for dealing with it all. A way to not just get through change, but maybe, just maybe, even learn to welcome it.
I mean, does any of this sound familiar? You're finishing school, your friend group is kind of shifting, and some plan you had just completely falls apart. That feeling, that knot in your stomach when you just don't know what's coming next, it can be totally overwhelming. But here's the wild part. You are not the first person to feel this way, not by a long shot. Almost 2,000 years ago, one of the most powerful men on the planet was wrestling with the exact same feelings. From the outside, you'd think he had everything under control, but on the inside, he was dealing with the same stuff we do. And that's our guide for today, a Roman emperor who basically left behind his private journal, and it accidentally became one of the most helpful books on philosophy ever. Meet Marcus Aurelius. He was a deep thinker, a student of Stoic philosopher who was genuinely passionate about figuring out how to live a good, peaceful, and rational life. But here's the kicker. He wasn't just sitting around in a peaceful garden thinking deep thoughts. This guy was the emperor of Rome during some seriously chaotic times. We're talking constant war on the frontiers, a plague that was tearing through the empire, and incredible personal loss. He lost so many of his children. His philosophy wasn't just an idea. It was a survival tool forged in the middle of a storm. So how in the world did he cope with all that? Well, he kept coming back to one single, powerful idea. He looked at the natural world around him as the ultimate teacher. And at the core of it all is this concept, living according to nature. Now, this doesn't mean you have to go live in a cabin in the woods. For the Stoics, it meant something deeper. It meant seeing that the universe has a natural order, a flow, and things like change, endings, and even decay, they aren't mistakes. They're part of this system working exactly as it should. Real peace comes from getting in sync with that reality, not fighting against it. This quote just nails it. Think about it. We don't get mad when a rose blooms in spring or when fruit gets ripe in the summer. We expect it. We see it as natural and beautiful. So Marcus is asking, what if we could see the things happening in our own lives, even the hard stuff, the same way, as just a natural, predictable part of the cycle? So what this really boils down to is that trying to stop change is like trying to stop winter from coming. It's pointless, and you'd miss out on spring if you succeeded anyway. The goal isn't to build a wall against the seasons of your life, but to learn how to dress for the weather, whatever it might be. And to really make this idea click, Marcus was constantly using examples from nature. They're so simple, but they're incredibly deep. Let's look at a couple. I mean, this just flips your whole perspective, right? We usually see something shrinking or getting a little wrinkly as, well, a bad thing, as decay. But Marcus points out that for an olive, that moment right before it spoils is its peak. That's its proper beauty. It's a powerful reminder that even the things that look like endings are actually the fulfillment of a purpose. He does the same thing with grapes. A green grape becomes a ripe grape, which becomes a raisin. Each stage is just a transformation. A green grape is in a failed ripe grape, and a raisin is in a dead grape. They're just different points in the journey. And that's how he saw the stages of our lives. Each one is just a natural mutation into something new. And here, he uses this beautiful metaphor to help us deal with loss. A tree doesn't freak out when its leaves fall off. It gets it. It's a necessary part of the cycle so that new leaves can grow in the spring. He's saying maybe we can look at the endings in our own lives, a friendship changing, a chapter closing, not as a tragedy, but as the natural falling of leaves that makes room for new growth. Okay, so this philosophy is beautiful, for sure. But how do we actually use it when we're in the middle of feeling stressed and overwhelmed? Well, the Stoics had a super practical tool for exactly that. It all comes down to this one simple distinction. The Stoics said that pretty much all our anxiety comes from trying to control things we can't. You can't ultimately control the grade you get, or if a friendship ends, or what other people think of you. But you have absolute 100% control over the effort you put in, the kindness you show, and your own character. When you pour all your energy into that second column, you find this incredible sense of peace that no outside event can ever touch. So what happens when you put these two huge ideas together? Seeing change as natural and focusing only on what you can control. You end up with a totally new and honestly a much more powerful idea of what it means to be strong. And this is so important to get. Stoic acceptance isn't giving up. It's not just shrugging your shoulders and walking away. It's an active, wise, and incredibly brave choice to stop burning all your energy fighting a reality you can't change. Instead, you use that energy to act with integrity within that reality. Think of it like this. It's the difference between trying to swim against a powerful current versus learning how to steer your boat with it. And this brings us right to the heart of it. Marcus challenges us to not just put up with what happens, but to actually be pleased with it, to welcome it. And you might ask, why? Because we're all just a tiny part of this huge interconnected universe. What's good for the whole thing must, on some level, be good for us too. Accepting what happens is like accepting our role in this grand cosmic story. So I'll just leave you with this question. The Stoics ask us to try a mental flip, to look at that setback, that breakup, that scary, uncertain future, and see it not as a threat, but as nature giving you the perfect material to practice being brave, being patient, being a good person. What if all this isn't happening to you, but is actually happening for you?